Hello, everybody. Let's get started. I'm Nicole. I am with the foundation and the athletics departments, and I wanted to welcome everybody here today to our HU Talk by our fantastic coach, Amanda Evans. She's the new coach of our women's soccer program here at New Mexico Highlands. So just a couple of housekeeping items that I want to address before we get started. I'd like to welcome everyone to Homecoming 2024. If you live in the area, we hope that you'll show up and turn out for our Cowboy Lounge, which is Friday night at 5:30. You can go online and purchase some tickets. And then we also have our volleyball team, which the Cowgirls are participating in their match on Friday night at 5, as well as Saturday night at 6. Of course, there's the football game on Saturday at noon as well. So we hope that if you are in the area, you're able to participate in some of these great events. If you're not, we're happy to have you here on the HU Talks via Zoom today. So I want to also thank and welcome Miss Jessica and Miss Caitlin. They are our interpreters today, and you can see them here on the Zoom, and we're really grateful to have them joining us this year. So let's see here. One more item of note that I'd like to mention is that we have a fantastic art. I'm losing my computer here, folks. Sorry, stay with me. We have a fantastic Day of the Death art project that will occur on Thursday, October 31st from 1 to 6 at the Student Union Building Courtyard. And that is a collective art project that will be co-created on that day, and it will remain on location until Monday, November 4th. So our fantastic Dina Barca is heading up this wonderful, wonderful Day of the Dead project. So without further ado, like I mentioned before, we have Coach Amanda Evans. She's our women's soccer coach, and she is on a mission to turn some things around for our soccer program, as well as take you through a wonderful HU talk today. So Coach Amanda, take it away.
Hello, everybody. I'm really excited to talk to you about how asking for help can change your life. So I'm going to go ahead and hop right in. So asking for help can be pretty awful. Admitting we need help isn't comfortable. Society in America and even our parents often teach us that we need to be strong. We need to be independent. Needing help is a sign of weakness. And studies through Stanford research show that children as young as 7 feel this. So how are we taught this? Through road trips when our dad won't pull over to ask for directions, when a teacher tells you to work quietly and independently, or even when your mother says, just figure it out, I'm busy. This can also help create good problem solvers, but there has to be a line. A great example I have from college. As a sophomore in college, I was in a new state and was having car trouble. My oldest brother happened to be living near me and is good with cars. So I went to his place for some help. When inspecting the vehicle, he said I had a timing belt problem. So after getting the right part, I returned to his home to get it fixed. He handed me some tools, pointed to the timing belt and said, there it is, let me know when you get it off. Roughly 2.5 hours later, I went to him for probably the 10th time asking for his help. By hour 3, he finally came out, spent about 2 minutes getting the belt off. In his mind, he was teaching me to problem solve and be self-sufficient. What he didn't count on was that because I attempted to get the timing belt off in so many different ways, I ultimately did not remember which way actually worked, and therefore still cannot change a timing belt. But what this experience taught me was that sometimes I need to be persistent in asking for help. As I was growing in my college years and beyond, there was something that I noticed about every person I looked up to. My mother, a professor, a successful business person, a coach. I noticed after talking with them that they all had something in common. They all got a break. Someone helped them, took a chance on them because they asked. Moms Who Coach is a national moms group that I co-founded. But the story of how it happened goes like this. I was a coach and a mother for the first time after I had my first child. I had a very difficult time with my administration, and they did not support me being a mother. And I thought it was my fault. I thought I can't hack it as a coach. I'm not meant to be a coach because I'm not tough enough. And so I decided to actually leave my career and go back to teaching. When we relocated to California, where I went back to teaching, I found that I really missed coaching and the connections that I made. And so I decided to find a way to get back in the game. And after 4 years of starting from the bottom and working my way back up, there was something that I noticed. And it was that if I had somebody to talk to during that really difficult time, I think I could have gotten through it if I had that support. So I contacted United Soccer Coaches and I reached out to Haley Carter, who was the chair of the women's coaches community. And I told her, I think that we need a moms group. I think we need a place where moms can talk and vent and just, have somebody who understands maybe the sacrifices that we're going through. And her response was, that's a great idea. You should start it. Now, by this time, I had 4 children of my own. And the thought of doing anything like that was very overwhelming. So my initial reaction to her was, no, there's no way that I could do something like that without help. About a week later, she called me up and she said, and at that point, I had kind of forgotten about it in the sense of, how am I going to make this happen? She calls me back and she says, I found someone to help you. And she got me in touch with a woman by the name of Yolanda Thomas, who was also a coach and a mother. And the two of us started the Moms Who Coach group. So there are 3 pieces, and just to kind of show you, not only was that me asking for help and getting it, but I also had to put in the work. And then on top of that, to this day, the Moms group has gotten a lot stronger. It's the fastest growing community in the soccer community. And this past convention, it was the first year in history that we were able to offer a child care grant, childcare at the convention, and nursing stations at the convention. So support group has become a lot more. So there are 3 pieces of asking for help I would like to highlight today. The first part is to get good at doing it. This takes practice. Whenever I was scared to ask a question or to check in at the doctor's office or ask a cashier where the bathroom was, my mother would always say to me, what's the worst that can happen? They say no? This taught me to really think about what is the big deal about asking for help. Now we all have to be of sound mind when using this reference, because I know the other day when I said the same thing to my 13-year-old daughter about asking her teacher for an extension on assignment, I said, what's the worst that can happen? And she responded that the teacher hates me and gives me an F on all of my other assignments, and then I have to drop out of school. So remember, we have to be rational when we're thinking about the worst case scenarios. We need to continue to practice. One thing that I have learned as a teacher is often when one student asks a question, there are at least 10 other students that have the same question, but they're just too afraid to ask. We need to remember that knowledge is power. The more we know, the more we can learn from others, the stronger and better we can be, and the more that we can contribute. This often comes with asking questions, meaningful, intentional questions. The more that you ask questions, the more comfortable you will be asking for help. So look for opportunities to do that. The second part to asking for help is to recognize that most people love the opportunity to serve. In fact, the same Stanford study that I mentioned earlier showed that the large majority of help. I'm a teacher or a professor, and I'm passionate about the subjects I'm teaching, and a student comes up to me because they want to know more. That excites me. Asking for help is one of the most difficult things that we can do on a daily basis. About a year ago, I was in a very tough situation. My husband had his tonsils removed, which resulted in some unexpected surgical problems that caused him to lose half of his hemoglobin or half of his blood. And all of a sudden, I was living in a household with 4 children and a disabled husband that couldn't get out of bed for a couple of months. And it took him almost a year before he felt normal again. And it was a very, very difficult time for me because I felt like I had to be the strong one and I had to carry the load. We were on one income. We had to keep our 4 kids going and active, and we didn't have any family within 3,000 miles to help. So all I felt like I needed in that moment was help, but I didn't know how to ask or where to ask. Now, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and we believe that serving others is very, very important. And it's something that we're grateful to be able to do. So I took advantage and I reached out to someone that I knew that I was close with at church, and I asked if they could just mow my lawn. I felt like with everything going on, if somebody could just mow the lawn, that would just give me the relief I needed to get through everything else. And so that was the roadblock I had for me. So I reached out and I asked a friend for help. When my friend brought her 12-year-old son over, for giving him the opportunity to help. Deep down, we all want to be able to help others and serve others. We want the opportunity to mentor and develop. It builds up our self-esteem when we're able to help others. It builds up our confidence when someone needs us. So by not asking for help, you're taking the opportunity away from someone else. So think about that the next time you're afraid to ask for help. Another great example of this is when I recently became the chair of the National Women's Coaches Group for United Soccer Coaches. So the chair of the women's soccer organization was Haley Carter, and she was given the opportunity to be the general manager for the professional team Orlando Pride. So she felt she needed to step away. Now, the other women in our group of vice chairs, which was about 8 of us, were all ready to figure out what would be the next step in the leadership. She chose to elevate me in front of everyone. And my initial reaction was, why would you guys pick me? I have 4 kids. I'm like trying to further my career. I'm just juggling so many things. And you want me to be the face of this national group. And I, immediately thought maybe I can't do it. But then something amazing happened. All of the women that I look up to that have these amazing careers and examples to me said, that's what we're here for. We're here to help you. We're here to support you. That's why you're going to be the chair, but we're going to be the vice chairs right behind you, doing it all and supporting you. And it just made me realize that help is necessary to really get anywhere. Initially, in essence, that's also what collaboration is. Collaboration is working together and helping each other, but sometimes we have to ask for it. So asking for help really can change your life. We already said that the first step is to get good in practicing asking for help. The second step is recognizing the person that gets to help you and how much they actually want to help you. And finally, the third step is taking advantage of the help that you have. As a student at Highlands, it can be as simple as going to ARMIS or the Writing Center to get support, going to your student success team to find the right classes. Being a college student is one of the most difficult times in your life. You're still figuring out who you are and who you want to be. And you're doing all of that while trying to adult for the first time. Cook meals, pay rent, pay for your car, do extracurricular activities, get to know other people, get used to eating someone else's food, and juggling all of the academic pressure and expectation that comes as a college student. It is okay to need help, whether it's emotional or psychological help through NMHU Cares, coping with stress through campus activities and campus recreation, sitting down with your professor to find out why you failed a paper and asking for the opportunity to rewrite it, or simply sitting in your dorm room wondering how you're going to get through the week. Every single professor, faculty, and staff member here at NMHU has experienced the stress and the burdens that you carry. And although we are all different and have different experiences, that doesn't mean we can't relate. It doesn't mean that we can't support each other. The reason that people choose to work in higher education has nothing to do with the field that they're in. When I was a freshman in college, I was determined to be a veterinarian. From the time I was 5 years old, I knew I was going to be a veterinarian. And I actually went to college in Hawaii to study marine biology. While there, I worked at the zoo and I worked closely with animals. But I noticed something with my roommates. I noticed that when I needed to study for a really difficult test, one of the ways that I did that was by lecturing to my roommates. Sometimes they'd be doing their own homework or frankly just ignoring me, but I would still stand up in front of the room and act like I was teaching them because I learned that that was how I remembered information and that's how I did better on my exams. So during that time, I thought about teaching. And initially, when I called up a family member and said, I think I might want to switch to teaching, the response was, no, focus on being a vet. That's what you've always wanted. So by my sophomore year, I still had that curiosity about being a teacher. So I went to a school counselor and I told them, I've been thinking about maybe teaching. And she said, and I said, but I need some help to figure out if that's something I really want to do. So she advised me to take an introduction to teaching class. And she said, you'll either love it or hate it. And sure enough, I took this class and I loved it. And I knew that teaching was what I wanted to do. And when I first decided to change my major, I thought maybe I'm going to be a failure because my whole life I wanted to be a veterinarian and now I'm not going to be. So does that mean I failed? Does that mean I'm letting people down? Does that mean I'm letting myself down? But what I really recognized was we all have dreams and it's okay for our dreams to change and it's okay to get help in that process. So I experienced all of this because I asked for advice and help. Going to make you care about your success. I have always said it doesn't matter who or what I teach. It is the people that I get to support and mentor that keep me going. Asking for help not only can help you find your path, but it can also help you progress in your career. A great example is how I became a coach. I've been a college head coach for over 17 years now. But if you would have asked me 20 years ago if I even wanted to be a coach, I would have said probably not. So I was going to school at the University of Utah to be a teacher. And I was playing, but my playing career was, starting to come to an end. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go and, see if maybe I want to coach just for fun on the side. So I walked into the nearest high school and I simply said, do you need a coach? And the varsity coach hired me to be a freshman coach. During that process, that was in April and the season started in the fall. So I didn't even know if I knew how to coach or if I'd like it. So he invited myself and my husband to come help him coach his club team. Immediately, I felt right at home on the field, giving advice and helping mentor the players. I had no idea how much it was going to change my life. So I went to the coach and I said, I really like this. I'd like to learn more. So he went and asked for help. He went to some parents and they gave myself and my husband about $1,500 to be able to go get a coaching license. And that experience opened our eyes to all of the possibilities that this career can have and all of the ways to help and support and connect with people. And then going back for more help, they had us go to the convention. And I can tell you right now, if I had never gone to that convention, I would never be the chair of the women's community today. All because we asked for help, because we wanted to get better, to get knowledge, but also to progress. You never know where your life is going to take you, but there is one thing that I can be certain of. You're not going to get there. You're not going to get to where you need to be without help from others. So practice asking for help. Remember that most people are dying to help you, and take advantage of the opportunities to get help when you can. And that is how asking for help will change your life.
Thank you, Coach. That was very inspiring, not only for students that may be on the call, but definitely for all the other adults that are on the call as well. So at this time, we would like to open up the session for Q&A. If you have any questions for Coach Amanda, please unmute, show your fantastic face, and she will gladly take your questions.
I have two questions.
Hi, go ahead.
Okay. The first one is about the thing about what's the worst that can happen? They say no. And I was gonna ask, how do you get better at being disappointed, as in being told no, when you put so much courage into asking to begin with?
Sure. I mean, like anything, it takes a lot of practice. I mean, maybe being the youngest of 4 children, I was used to my siblings always telling me no, and I always felt like I had to prove them wrong. But really, it's practice. It didn't get you what you need, then it was worth asking the other 9. So I think a big part of it is the first part of what I talked about, which was practicing. I ask questions as much as you can, and not everyone's going to give you the answer that you want, and not everyone is going to jump up and down to help you. Sometimes you have to seek that out or be more persistent. But I think if you stick with it and continue to practice it, it'll get easier and it'll get better. The other thing is to try to be optimistic. There are people out there that can help you. And if you feel like you're being rejected, just all you have to think to yourself is, I just haven't found the right person yet. And continue to search for those people, because you will find people that will support and help you the way that you need best.
Thank you for that question. Professor Linder, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, a question and a comment. I guess the comment first. One of the things that I try to work with students who struggle with asking for help is one of the ways to encourage them to do that, or give them a strategy to do that. And that is to tell them to sort of work it out in advance, sort of almost visualize it before you ask for help, so that you have a clear plan to how you're going to frame it, what specifically you're asking for, and often just running through that a couple of times gives people the confidence to go forward with asking for help. I get the question is, again, as someone who, I've been teaching at Highlands for a long time, and there is that problem, trying to get people to look for help even when they're struggling. And, after 20 odd years, I still haven't come up with a completely winning strategy. So, for example, in a survey class, I will have students who do badly on their first exam, and I will say, if you come in and spend 10 minutes with me, I will add 5 points to whatever you got on the exam. And no questions asked, just come in, talk to me for 5 or 10 minutes, and I'll give you the points. And almost invariably, the only students who avail themselves of the offer are the ones who probably don't need the 5 points. It's usually the A students or the B students who are coming in to talk to me, and the people you desperately want to get to come in and ask you for help, specifically with the academics, are the ones who you never see, even if you sort of buttonhole them after class and plead with them to come in and talk to you. So I was wondering, Coach Evans, if you had any insights into, how you might work around that, aside from sort of brute persistence.
Sure. I think one of the things that I always like to tell my students is, you don't have to have a question to ask me. So what I found with a lot of student athletes that I've worked with, and I'm trying to encourage them to communicate with their professors or other groups, They recognize that they're struggling, but they don't know what questions to ask to get help. So I kind of tell them, we will figure it out from there. So sometimes giving them that sentence starter or letting them know this is all you have to say is going to give them that window. The other thing is, I think we need to adapt to our population. Coming in person is very, very scary. Providing, working on emailing and communicating in ways that make us more comfortable might be a good starter. So I might have a player shoot me a text or an email about something that's going on. And then that opens up the door for me to talk to them face to face. But it is difficult. And, for students that are listening, one of the most difficult things for us is we want to help you. And sometimes we try all that we can to get you to come get some help, to let us help you, but you'll be resistant to it. And that's just kind of continuing that reminder of you have to share your personal experiences of how you got help. I mean, I remember when I was a student at the University of Utah, I took a diversity class and I had a really difficult time. I'm a good writer. I usually got good grades. And I gave this 15-page paper and she failed me. And I didn't understand how that was possible. I've never gotten anything lower than, a B on a paper. And so I went to talk to her and I'm crying in her office. I'm all upset because I don't understand what she wants from me. And she had expressed that my paper, which was supposed to be on diversity and something specific to my life, I felt like she was attacking me personally because the paper was all about me. And so it took, honestly, me calling a family member to vent about it, for my family member to help me realize, no, she makes sense. This is why. That helped me to understand, what I needed to do in the class to be successful. So I think encouraging our students to not only come and communicate with us in some form, any form, but then also to give them, the access to be able to get that support through the Writing Center or ARMIS or things like that, so that they can then be successful, are all really big components of that. But like I said, the number one thing in my experience is that they just don't even know what question to ask. You talk about preparing before you talk to a professor, before you ask for help, and we're just not really good at doing that. And so I like to tell them, you don't need to have a script, just come in and say, I don't even know where to begin, and we'll start there.
Thank you for that question, Dr.
Thank you.
Linder. Very insightful answers, Coach Amanda. Any other questions from the group? I don't see anything here in the chat. Coach Amanda, do you have any final thoughts before we wrap?
Yeah, I mean, I think I just want to also open the door that I'm available. I know I'm the women's soccer coach, but to me, being a member of the NMHU family means so much more than that. And so I just want to let everyone know that my door is always open. I'm available to help support anyone I can. And I am great at helping you get to the people who can help. So please don't ever hesitate coming to the field house. Whether you're an athlete or not does not matter to me. We all want you to be successful and to know how to ask for help and how to get support and how to grow as a person, because when you get into your career, asking for help is going to be key to your progression, and we're all here to help prepare you for that.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Sound advice. Any other questions for Coach Amanda? All right, everybody. Thank you, Coach Amanda. We appreciate all of your insight, and we appreciate the hard work that you're doing with our student athletes. And a special thank you to Ms. Jessica and Ms. Caitlin for being our interpreters today as well. And we will see everybody later this week in person at either the Cowboy Lounge or the volleyball or the football games. So everybody have a safe week if you're traveling into Las Vegas, and we'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye, everybody.